What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another PE News. Today we've got some great information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with Virtuos and Final Fantasy X/10-2 and Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age on the Nintendo Switch. It appears that 32GB cartridges are a lot more affordable, or more developers are going to start using them. But then again, there might be some issues with that as well. This was some news that broke over this past weekend where Virtuos, the studios behind those games porting over to Nintendo Switch, talked about the challenges that they had, and they talked about the technical details, what they had to do, bringing the games down from like 50GB in size to 32. But I wanted to talk about that in particular, and if this could mean that other developers can take advantage of having 32GB carts because they are cheaper now at this point. So let's go ahead and get into what they had to say. Quote, "Our lessons learned from having to port the games to Nintendo Switch. For Nintendo Switch, the main challenge was the package size, as the previous raw data size could reach up to 50GB. This much data simply could not fit on a single Switch game card, so we had to analyze and modify the data cooking pipeline and manage to fit the game on a 32GB card without any impact on visual quality or loading performance." So that's what they had to say, and this brought many to believe, like, okay, it looks like 32GB cartridges are going to be more available and developers are going to have that. But you also have to keep in mind that Square Enix was pretty much the first and only developer out there that has already used a 32GB cartridge. For example, there was the Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, the double pack, that was on the Nintendo Switch in Japan on one cartridge and did not have like a 16GB and like an extra download or something like that. Now with Final Fantasy X/10-2, that is actually going to be on a single cartridge in Japan and Southeast Asia. But however, here in the West, Europe, all of that, it's going to be a download code for 10-2, and then 10 is going to be on the cartridge. Now with Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, I think this is where more it pertains to, because I think at least, from what has already been reported on, that game is going to be on one cartridge on the Nintendo Switch. It's not going to be you have to download the game. If you have like a physical version of the game, you don't have to download a part of the game, and then the rest of it is on the cartridge. So it does seem like Square Enix, and we do know that that game is coming over to the West physically as well, so it does seem like Square Enix maybe is saying, okay, this is cheap enough to where we can have it on a 32GB cartridge and everyone can be happy with it, because Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, it seems like it's going to be on a 32GB cartridge everywhere, and we're going to be able to buy it and not have any issues. So maybe that's the case, and if that is the case, then that's obviously really good for third-party developers, because then we can probably get more games that we wouldn't have gotten just because of the cartridge size. That has been a big issue for a lot of developers out there, especially ones that can't have the time or don't have the expertise to do the amount of tinkering that you would need to do to kind of just shorten down a game from 50GB to 32 or whatever the case is, or to even below that, like 16GB or whatever you would need to put it on a 16GB cartridge, what Nintendo was doing before. So it does seem like there's some good news on that front with the prices of these cards coming down, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. So what do you guys think about this news with Virtuos and what they have with porting to Nintendo Switch 32GB cartridges? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, now moving on to the next topic here, we have a bunch of Dragon Ball Z news when it comes to the video game front. We're going to start off first with Dragon Ball Game Project Z, the action RPG game. It's being developed by CyberConnect 2. It's coming to the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC in 2019. So pretty crazy there. We have the first trailer too, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to have it playing full screen for you guys, but we might be able to have it playing in a smaller screen, because Bandai Namco is kind of crazy when it comes to these things. So Dragon Ball Game Project Z action RPG is developed by CyberConnect 2 and will be released for PS4, Xbox One, PC in 2019. So this game has probably been in the works for a while, according to Bandai Namco here. So here's a little bit of an overview of the game. In this epic retelling, Dragon Ball fans will be able to play through the legendary adventures of the Saiyan named Kakarot, better known as Goku, recounting the beloved story of Dragon Ball Z like never before. Players will experience Goku's quest for power, his thirst for a challenge, and, above all, his desire to protect Earth from the most fearsome villains. Developed in partnership with CyberConnect 2, the game, with the full title to be announced, will launch in 2019, featuring both Japanese and English voiceovers. So I've seen a little bit of mixed reactions to the initial gameplay trailer and to CyberConnect 2 doing this, just because CyberConnect 2, for those who don't know, they did the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games, and they've built up some type of reputation as kind of like all graphics and presentation and not gameplay, like really not that in depth when it comes to the gameplay. This is supposed to be an action RPG, so gameplay needs to be really good in this one, and CyberConnect 2 maybe hasn't proved that with their larger scale games and the work that they've done with Bandai Namco. However, this is a different game. We don't know what they've done since then. We have to see more gameplay because they haven't really shown too much. They just kind of showed like an explorations type of trailer where Goku's just walking around and you get the basic premise of it, but we needed to actually see some combat. So that's the only problem that I have, I guess, with this here, just because of the developer. If I had more faith in the developer when it comes to gameplay, then maybe I wouldn't be so like, let's see some gameplay with it. But it's CyberConnect 2. I don't think that they're a bad developer overall. I think that they do have some talent, but we're going to have to wait and see how this one does turn out. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z game project action RPG coming this year. So CyberConnect 2 has been working on it for quite some time. So I guess that's the reason why they weren't on the Boruto Strikers or whatever the case was. But what do you guys think about this footage so far? What do you guys think about this game? Are you guys more excited now, less excited about the announcement here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and continuing on with the Dragon Ball Z news, Dragon Ball FighterZ, we have some brand new characters that are coming to the game, and this one's actually pretty hype, guys, because Bandai Namco has recently announced Dragon Ball FighterZ Z, or just FighterZ Pass, not Z. I keep on wanting to say Z. FighterZ Pass 2, which will begin with the release of downloadable content characters Jiren and Videl with Great Saiyaman. So Videl fights with Great Saiyaman. And that's on January 31st, followed by 4 more characters, including Broly from Dragon Ball Super and Gogeta, the SSGSS. Of course, you know they had to get like a Goku and Vegeta in there. Those are due out. Those 2 are due out at a later date. And once again, Bandai Namco's kind of crazy with the copyright, so I might not be playing it full screen for you guys, but we could have it not full screen. So this is actually pretty cool, and it leaked a little bit earlier than they wanted to because there was the Dragon Ball Finals, the final summon, the fighting tournament for Dragon Ball FighterZ that was going down, and they kind of had all the events and everything planned around that, and it kind of leaked out before because they were supposed to show it off like at the event. But hey, either way, they put it up, they put it down, and they put it back up, and this is actually really cool. I felt that Videl fighting with Great Saiyaman is a nice little touch, and Great Saiyaman, of course, is acting all weird and doing his shenanigans that he does do. But it was cool to see Broly too. Broly's in there, and of course Jiren. Everyone's been wanting Jiren in this game, and he's finally going to make it in there. I'm hoping that they have at least one more from his crew, Jiren's crew. I think like Dispo or something like that. That would be really nice if they added one more in there. And I like the fact that Broly's coming in. That's obviously awesome. The movie is great, so I think that was a good idea. You're gonna get more people just to buy the game and buy the DLC just because of that, because they love the movie so much. So excited to hear about this news, excited about all the Dragon Ball Z news. All this stuff was really good. So what do you guys think about this as well? Is this going to get you back into fighters or potentially picking up the game? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, Sakurai recently spoke in a Famitsu column like he always does, and he discussed why he chose Incineroar over Decidueye in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch, and it was actually a pretty basic reasoning why he did. He wanted a pro wrestling character. He felt that a pro wrestling character would be cool to have in the game, and I have to agree with him, whereas Decidueye is more of like a sneaky bow and arrow Pokemon, which that would have been cool in the game as well, but I guess we already got Link with bows and arrows and stuff like that, right? And we don't have any type of pro wrestling characters. So let's go ahead and get into what he had to say here, in addition to a couple other different things. So part of what they showed me had an image of a fire vortex coming out of Incineroar's belt, but that didn't really go with the pro wrestling image, so I didn't use it. I thought it would be more fun if the character revolved entirely around the wrestler concept. That being said, pro wrestling can be completely different depending on the generation, right? I grew up in the All Japan Pro Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling's heyday, when they were still being broadcast on Golden. As of today, though, it seems like there's a lot of people who don't really know much about pro wrestling. There might not be as many people out there saying, I saw a pro wrestling match yesterday, and then he laughed about that. So essentially, Sakurai had a little bit of fun just saying, you know what, look, Like, I really wanted to have like a pro wrestling character. I grew up in this era. I watched it all the time, and it'd be cool to have Incineroar in there, but we couldn't necessarily take everything that Incineroar does from the regular game over to Super Smash Bros. But I'm glad that they actually chose Incineroar over Decidueye, because I think it does give the game a little bit more of a different feel with a pro wrestling style of character in there, and maybe Decidueye gets into the next one. Who knows? But who knows when the next game is even going to be out. But I feel that Sakurai's thought process was actually pretty cool when deciding what he was going to put in the game. So what do you guys think about Incineroar making it over Decidueye in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? And of course, if you want to read the full column, because there's a ton of stuff in there, make sure you check out the link in the description below. All right, and moving into the final topic here, guys, it looks like Splatoon 2 is not finished just yet. There will be a brand new demo for the game released. And also, there's going to be new weapons too, so let's go ahead and get into this here. At the Splatoon 2 Koshin 2019 tournament recently, Nintendo did make some new announcements regarding the game. It turns out that there will be more content being added in, and it's coming very soon. And this will be part of Sheldon's picks. As you guys can see here, there's some different weapons, but we don't have any details on these weapons. Now, when it comes to the demo, there will be access to a special demo from March 26th through April 1st, and anything that you do in that demo will be carried over to the full game. So your save will transfer over if you decide to buy the game digitally, or if you go out there and buy the game, everything will be transferred over from that special demo, because it's a limited time demo on that one there. So Nintendo is really trying to push more people and more people to get into the Splatoon 2 experience now that we're going on the 2nd year anniversary of the game. Splatoon 2 has pretty much just been a global phenomenon. It's one of the games that doesn't get enough credit for how well it's done in terms of the multiplayer and competitive shooter type, just because it's not like the other competitive shooters that are out there that are dominating the market, like Fortnite or like PUBG. I guess PUBG's not dominating as much anymore, but these battle royales or the Call of Duties, it's something completely different than those style of games. There's no other game really on it like the market, and Splatoon 2 is able to capture its own audience within Nintendo, and people who would have probably never bought a Nintendo Switch are buying a Switch and playing Splatoon just because of how big the sales of the game are. Were never a thing that Nintendo really kind of got into until with the Wii U and Splatoon, and it blew up way bigger than what the Wii U Splatoon 1 was at. So really cool to see Splatoon 2 doing well, really cool to see that they're getting more content, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be happy with the new weapons and picks coming, because they're still supporting this game going on 2 years. So what do you guys think about all the different topics that we discussed here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the internet, in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube live gaming pages. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you, Ninja, for the next video. Peace.